10 artist tips from me, an artist, sorta. A quick disclaimer though, I'm not a quote-unquote professional. There are plenty of other YouTubers who are way more experienced. So, for one, if you shade with the airbrush, I do it actually if you want the truth, just don't use one color. Like let's say you're using a lighter peachy skin tone. Don't use just pink. Don't use just a faded gray. Try to incorporate several shades, starting off warmer and getting darker. And just mess with it until you find what you like. You can even highlight some of the darkest sides just to make it pop. That brings me into our next tip, actually. So don't use black ever to shade, especially with the airbrush. It makes it look less alive. But if you use a color of that spectrum, but just a little bit darker, it will help push it back and shade it, but also keep the colors. So my third tip would be to try out new brushes, or if you are in traditional media, pencils, new markers, new pens. Try switching up your media if you can. And if you are a digital user only, I would recommend using traditional. I personally have been struggling to keep up with traditional media because there is no undo button. Try forcing yourself to only use a specific brush to shade, or a specific brush to color, or line art even. Try no line art, just mix it up and just try to force yourself. It's a really good art practice, and I know it sounds boring and frustrating and annoying because you just want to get better at art quick. Believe me, we've all been there, but trying new things will help you in more ways than one. Okay, so the next tip would be to just embrace your style. I struggled with that for a really long time, and I still struggle with that because I never thought I really had a style, period. Because some of them would look completely different, even though I was drawing the same character over and over. And that's okay, that's how you learn, and it might feel like it lasts forever, but doesn't. As you're learning though, just try to embrace it. Be welcoming of your skill set and don't be so harsh on yourself. That kind of leads me into our next tip, which is referencing. You will hear this everywhere from a lot of artists. I heavily recommend referencing. Finding artists that you like, it can just help you learn how to draw certain things better. For example, when I was growing up, my favorite person to watch animation memes of and watch draw was Sleepy Grim on YouTube, and I've always loved their style. It was so bright and feminine at the time. Their art style is way different now, and they grew in their own way, and it is just even more beautiful to look at. But I really loved the way they drew hair, because my character has always had more hair to one side, like a swoop, and I never knew how to draw that right. I couldn't wrap my brain around the physics of hair and how it falls. But yeah, don't be afraid to reference artists that you love. If you love the way a specific artist draws body types, reference that, and then try to incorporate your own type of style into it, or eyes, or facial structure, or hair, anything. Referencing is good for you and your art. My next tip would be to do art challenges and prompts. Every month there is some sort of art challenge going on. You can just go on Google and look up a prompt list to follow, or OC prompt list, or drawing prompt generator. This can be kind of dangerous though, because you end up pressuring yourself to complete every single prompt, which means drawing every single day for a whole month. And you could get burnt out a few days in, which usually happens to me. I never really finish them. Don't set that goal for yourself. Set aside I'm gonna do 8 out of this 31 prompts. I'm gonna do 4 or 10 even. So this helps because it makes you branch out. It forces you to, kind of, in a good way. Sometimes the prompt will be an object or an environment, and it makes your brain think in ways that it doesn't usually, and it makes you more creative in the thought process area. My 7th tip would be to try different apps and mediums. I kind of mentioned this before. If you are a traditional medium type of artist, try to do paint instead of pencil, or try to draw with pen with no sketching beforehand. Try chalk, alcohol markers, colored pencils, crayons, it doesn't have to be an expensive art supply. Try different paper, canvases, and wood even, all these other things. And if you're digital, try different apps because you never know if they'll have what you want. Yeah, try out different mediums, branch out a little bit. Kind of the running theme of all this. Next tip would be to draw every day, even if it's just a little doodle of a flower. It keeps you in a rhythm and it keeps you not motivated, but it just makes it a regular thing for you. So it doesn't feel like you're forcing yourself as hard the next time you do sit down to draw. You're not usually as pressured to make a full piece. Sometimes just a little doodle of an animal or a shape or a flower or an object is perfect, and that's all you need to get done for that day. Next tip would be for inspiration block. When you are lacking inspiration and you don't know what to draw, if you can't come up with it yourself, that's totally fine. Don't ever pressure yourself to. But there are places you can go. You can look up Pinterest. If you already have an account, that's even better because it's usually, personalized. TikTok, don't get lost in the scrolling, but there are, if you follow the right people, artist accounts, you can find inspiration to draw different things that you would have never thought of before. Don't steal concepts or ideas. Try to take inspiration. That's the point here. Instagram is also a good place for inspiration. Sometimes I will warn you, when you are doing this in different apps, you will see artists who might have a higher skill set than you, and that's totally fine. But it can be a little bit discouraging and it makes you lose your inspiration right away. So try to be careful and don't look for too long. And the last tip I would have for now is just to be open to criticism. Every criticizing comment you receive on your art, whether it's posted on YouTube, Instagram, wherever, or just in public with your family, constructive criticism can be really good for your art, and if you don't take any of it in, you just block it out, it can really just hinder your improvement severely. So always be open to criticism, but don't listen to hate speech. Don't listen to people who are just hating on your art. It's really hard to discern it, but you can even ask people, like your family or your friends or your followers or anybody that you can reach your art out to, and ask them for criticism yourself. And I think that's all I have. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I am all ears in the comments, in my DMs on Instagram, whatever you choose. Like I said, I'm just doing my best to try and give the tips that I've learned. But yeah, this is what I have to offer, and I hope you enjoyed listening and watching to this. I'm still learning myself. We all are. We never stop. So don't ever put yourself in a place where you think you need to be better than you are. Thank you for watching.